In this video, we're going to see how to use an if statement in Java to check that the user entered something that was expected. So here we have a Java program that it looks like I haven't imported a scanner yet, so I'll have Eclipse do that for me. And you can see it's asking me to enter a number between 10 and 20, but I'm not able to do that because all it does is print. It doesn't actually read in that number. So let me add a space here so that the output is correct. And I'm going to create an integer called user input that's going to read the next integer from the scanner. And I'll say you entered a user input. And actually, I'm going to change this to a print. So now I'm going to enter a number, and I'll just enter 3. And it says I entered a 3. That's not what it was expecting. So the user has given poor input. So what do we do? So fortunately, Java, along with most every other programming language, has a way to check a value to see if it's what we want, and then to make a decision based on what that value is. So the way we would do that is we would say if user input is greater than 10, and then we'll copy this line from down here. And so let's run this to see where we are. I'm going to enter a 3, and notice nothing happened because I only print this if this is greater than 10. Okay, what if I enter 15? That's greater than 10, so we print you entered a 15. Pretty cool. However, if I enter a 30, it says you entered a 30, but that's not between 10 and 20. So what I need to do now is I need to say and the way we say and is to use 2 ampersands. And I also like to put each condition in a parentheses. It doesn't matter. It's not required. It would work without it. Like I'll show you here. The code works. However, I think it makes it easier to tell what the individual piece is that I'm checking at each point. So now let's run this. And we're going to enter a number between 10 and 20. So I'll say 15. 15 still works. And I run this again. If I enter 30, nothing happens. Now I do want to say, sorry, wrong value or something like that. So I can say else, which means this condition doesn't hold. So this is what I want done. And here I can say system out println invalid entry. So if I run this again, now my 30 tells me it's an invalid entry. And of course, maybe I would want to reprompt the user, in which case we could use a loop, but that's a topic for a different day. One other thing is that this is checking greater than, not greater than or equal to. I could make this inclusive by adding an equal sign to the comparison operator, and then that would allow 10 and 20, but this says between, and so we'll be strict and say between doesn't mean includes. So we'll leave it at this. And we'll clean up our code a little bit with some of these blank lines that don't necessarily need to be there. And I also realized something that I didn't do. I didn't use my min and max. There's no reason to say 10 and 20 here. I have those constants. Now what's nice about this, using the constants instead, is that suppose I want this to be 200. Well, now I can just change it here where it's really clear. And now 200 is invalid, but 150 isn't. Okay, great. However, notice now there's a mismatch between this prompt and the values I would accept. And so I can actually use those min-max constants like this. And so now it's going to, if I change those constants, it'll actually change what I prompt between. So I could say between, say, 5 and 200. And notice the value changes there. And now I'm allowing numbers between 5 and 200. So creating constants like this for values that you're going to use over and over is always a good thing. And then also notice I'm getting a warning here because I'm not closing my scanner. And my recommendation on that is close the scanner. And that makes sure that if I ever converted this to a method or something like that, it would be closed. I wouldn't have to rethink it. Obviously, if it's in main, you're going to close the scanner when main exits. However, it's always good to be explicit about what you want done in your program. And so that's a quick introduction to how to check user input using an if statement in Java.